This man's name is Theo Dahl, a chef and an owner of a 5-star restaurant in Denmark. Theo is known as a perfectionist and short-tempered chef. That morning, before opening the restaurant manager named Merle gave Theo a letter, saying that later in the afternoon, an investor would come to visit. Upon reading the letter, he was surprised to find that the letter was from his father's lawyer named Pino. Pino informed him that 3 weeks ago, his father had died and left all his assets including his house and garden to Theo. He suddenly fell silent. Deep down, he was sad, but as a professional chef, he tried to hold back his sadness and stay focused on work. Hours passed and Theo had been working in a very bad mood, until that afternoon, the investors came. Theo tried to keep his professionalism, but thanks to the investors who bombarded him with a lot of questions, he finally lost his patience.
She calls this place the wildest adventure. Shut up and sample the food, you fucking ass! Sorry. I gotta get fucking shit!
His emotions finally exploded. As a result of the incident, Theo's restaurant failed to get a big investor. The next morning, Theo showed the letter he received from Pino to his mother. Theo's parents had been divorced for a long time due to his father's bad habit, who prioritized work over his own family. Since then, Theo moved to live with his mother in Denmark and never met his father ever since. That afternoon in the restaurant, Theo confided to Merle about the inheritance from his father. In fact, Theo no longer wanted to have anything to do with his father. Since he was young, he always hated his father since he never visited him and his mother in Denmark. Merle said that maybe this was the answer to all his prayers all this time. He had always been trying to find investors to develop his restaurant but never find one. If he sells all of his father's assets, he would be able to develop his restaurant without the need to bother looking for investors anymore. Hearing the suggestion, he decided to go visit his father's house in the city of Tuscany, Italy. When he got to his father's house, before he met Pino, Theo stopped by the restaurant next to his father's house first. He then ordered food and a bottle of water, which he insisted had to be bottled, but when the water came, the waitress who brought the water named Sophia was in a bad mood. She instead put the water in a glass, but when Theo complained, she just put the water back into the bottle. Seeing Sophia's behavior just now, Theo couldn't say anything. When the food arrived, Theo saw Sophia wipe the messy sauce on the plate with her hand, making him lose his appetite. He immediately paid using a credit card. When reading the name on Theo's credit card, Sophia suddenly became silent and then said that the food is free. In the afternoon, Theo met Pino in his father's garden. Apart from being a lawyer, Pino also worked as an assistant to Theo's father. Without further ado, Theo asked him the total of his father's inheritance. Pino answered that his father had at least 700,000 euros in inheritance. He was shocked to hear such a big number and immediately asked Pino to find a potential buyer to buy all his father's inheritance since he didn't want to spend too much time there. In the afternoon, when Theo was about to cook, he was shocked to see the condition of the kitchen, which was very messy. He spent a lot of time cleaning all the mess, and after that, he started cooking. After eating, Theo sits looking at the twilight sky. Soon Sophia came to offer drinks. Turned out, apart from being a waitress at the restaurant, she also lived and worked in Theo's father's mansion. She apologized for her attitude in the morning. Theo said that he was not offended at all. He understood that if there was a problem, he would definitely not be in the mood to work. The next morning, Theo was confused to find so many people in the yard. Sophia said that she forgot to tell him and asked his permission that there would be a wedding in a week. Because it was none of his business, Theo said that she was free to do anything. When Theo saw the inscription on his father's statue, he asked what the inscription meant. Sophia explained that it meant extraordinary. Hearing that made him laugh. Theo said that his father was just a hypocrite who looked good in front of everyone but always hurt his own family. Theo then went to the kitchen. There was a restaurant chef where Sophia worked named Vincent who was cooking the food for the wedding. When Theo tasted his cooking, Sophia came from behind. Without Theo knowing her coming, he mocked the food, saying that the taste was bad and the food would definitely embarrass the bride and groom. Theo's sentence just offended Sophia, who immediately left from there. The next afternoon, when Vincent and Theo were walking in the forest, Theo, who still felt guilty, apologized if his words were too harsh yesterday. Vincent said that he wasn't offended at all. It was better for Theo to apologize to Sophia because actually, the food was for Sophia and Pino's wedding. They were both forced to have a simple wedding ceremony because they didn't have enough money. Sophia was just a poor orphan, while Pino was also just starting his career as a lawyer. Hearing that, Theo felt even more guilty for insulting the food. When Theo had just come home from the forest, he saw Sophia, who looked confused. She said that today, Pino should have taken her to the cheese factory and then practiced dance with her for the wedding, but since the morning, her husband-to-be had not come yet. To make up for his guilt, Theo took the initiative to accompany Sophia to the cheese factory and the dance studio.
No. This is amazing.
You check the area? I don't know. While I do this, okay?
In the evening, after returning to the mansion, Sophia showed her room when she was little. In that room, Theo saw a photo that was exactly the same as the photo at his mother's house. A photo of two kids holding hands. Sophia then explained that the photo was actually a photo of the two of them when they were just kids. Theo might have forgotten about it, but in the past, the two of them were very close and used to play together. Hearing the story just now made him silent. Slowly but surely, his childhood memories came back. Now he remembered that before moving to Denmark, he often played with a very beautiful little girl. That girl was his first love, the very exact same person with whom he used to play together. He couldn't believe that his first love was standing in front of him but soon would marry another man. Suddenly, his heart was broken. He then left Sophia alone. The next day, Pino introduced Theo to a businessman. Pino said that the businessman was interested in buying Theo's inherited land. After quite a long negotiation, Theo finally agreed to lower the price of the land inherited from his father to 500,000 euros. Theo then invited the businessman to be the guest of honor at Sophia's wedding. In the evening, Sophia showed a recipe book that Theo's father wrote. The book also had a couple of pieces of newspaper about Theo. Sophia said that despite never coming to see him, his father always talked about his beloved son all the time to everyone he met. His father always loved him from a distance. Theo was touched. The hatred and heartache slowly began to heal. They both then started cooking the recipe written by Theo's father. While cooking, Theo asked Sophia to pour wine into the dish according to the measure, but Sophia instead poured it as she pleased while saying that cooking doesn't always have to be according to the recipe. Sometimes in cooking, we also had to have fun. A few minutes later, the cooking was done. As usual, Theo arranged the food very pretty, but again, Sophia disassembled everything, saying the most important thing about the food is the taste, not the appearance. There was no point in making the food look beautiful if they cannot eat the whole thing on the plate. It would be better if they put some things that were edible on the plate. While chatting, Theo asked why Sophia didn't tell him about her marriage earlier. Sophia looked like she was trying to divert the conversation. The reason why she didn't tell him was because since she was little, Sophia also liked Theo. Since years apart, Sophia thought she would never meet him again, but the fact that the man who turned out to be her first love finally stood before her eyes, but unfortunately, she now had no way to cancel her wedding and was forced to bury her feelings deep down. Theo, as a childhood friend, offered to give a special gift to Sophia, namely Theo and all of her restaurant employees would later manage the food at Sophia's wedding party. 3 days passed and Theo's employees came to start preparing the dishes. They brought the best ingredients and spices for the dishes and cooked them to absolute perfection. They also shared their knowledge and recipes with each other and prepared everything for the big day tomorrow.
Do you know what that is? Well done.
The next day, Sophia and Pino's wedding arrived. Before the event started, Theo met Sophia, but strangely, Sophia said that she already knew about everything from Pino. She was very disappointed with Theo's decision to sell the place where her childhood memories were made. The memories about her and Theo. She also knew the reason why Theo wanted to cook the special dishes at her simple wedding party was sure because he just wanted to impress the businessman and increase their interest in buying the place. Hearing Sophia's words just now, Theo was shocked. He tried to explain that the reason why he helped with the dishes was purely for him to give a special farewell gift to Sophia. He only wanted the woman she cared about to live happily, even with another man, but Sophia was still disappointed and hurt. She slapped Theo and then kicked him out.
Failing with you.
Sophia and Pino's wedding started in the afternoon. From the guest bench, Merle saw Sophia, who kept looking at Theo. Merle then realized something must have happened between Sophia and Theo. That night, Theo was drunk and kept looking at Sophia. Soon, Merle approached him. Merle said that even though she didn't know what happened, judging from Theo and Sophia's attitude toward each other, she mostly understood what had happened. Merle then tried to cheer him up, but Theo, who was in a bad mood, chose to go alone. In the morning, Theo looked at his father's statue. He was angry, sad, and disappointed for all the time his father took in loneliness, never once coming to visit him, even though almost every day, for many years, they always cried, praying that his father would come, but now, his father had died, which means forever his prayers would never be answered. A few days later, when he returned to Denmark, Theo's attitude began to change. Save the Perfectionist is now cooking to his heart's content. He advises his men to don't cook like a robot anymore. From now on, make this kitchen a happy place. Cook with heart. One day, when Theo visited his mother, he asked her why she fell in love with his father. His mother answered, saying that his father was a good man. Despite his ignorant nature, he often made her feel very comfortable. Like she was the luckiest woman in the world. Theo's mother said that love was not only about marriage. Love can be found even if you were not meant to be together. Love is human's most beautiful gift from God. The next day, Merle told Theo that the money from selling his father's inheritance had been transferred. Later in the afternoon, both of them went to an architect to consult about the plan for building the luxury restaurant that Theo always dreamed of, but during the discussion, he was just silent, not interested at all. Merle, who understood that Theo was upset, then told him to follow his heart. Hearing that, Theo immediately rushed to his father's mansion. Upon arrival, he saw the businessman and Pino chatting about the plans to remodel Theo's father's mansion. Theo then said that if he didn't want to sell his father's mansion, he was really sorry, but there were too many memories of his childhood that he couldn't forget. Luckily, the businessman understood. After the money was returned, the businessman left. Theo then walked around while reminiscing about his happy memories with his father, until when he saw his father's statue that had been destroyed. Inside the statue, there were a lot of eggshells. Theo remembered that he used to accompany his father to cook, even though he only helped break the eggs. He didn't expect that his father still kept all the eggshells. Theo then brought his father's statue to the bench, sitting, watching the beautiful sunset together. Several months passed. Theo decided to move and built his restaurant business on his father's mansion grounds. He even brought his employees from Denmark to live and work there. While Theo was cooking, Sophia came to visit. Theo was very happy to see his childhood friend. It had been a long time since they both seen each other. The two of them shared about each other's life. Sophia then asked if she could reserve a table in the summer holidays for a meal with her little family. Theo happily answered that the restaurant in the mansion would always open for his childhood best friend.